a movie about junkyard bums and wine that makes Mad Dog and Night Train look like Dom Perignon. We watched Street Trash. We watched it so you don't have to. So you know what that means.
Horror, so bad and scary. Splitting up is never okay. Plot, who needs it? Don't turn on the lights. Cars don't ever start, but that's alright. Running upstairs instead of out the door. Good acting, what do we need that for? Horrible horror, so bad and scary. Enjoy the show, but not really.
Greetings, Moon Goons! Welcome to the 50th episode of the Horrible Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Marshall Hampton. With me, always, to study my rock, Mr. Aaron Southworth.
I am back.
He is back.
I'm back after a week off.
His hands did not fall off.
My hands are on. I do not have machine gun hands. I do not have chainsaw hands.
I was kind of hoping you would, though.
I don't have robot hand with a vibrating finger. That would make my wife happy. But I just got normal hands, and I'm happy. I'm happy. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Yes. This week, next week, and the final we are getting ready to celebrate. Today is our 50th. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary show. So for this week and the next week, we are doing listener submitted movies, kicking off with this movie called Street Trash. But before we get into the movie proper, we did announce on our Facebook page the winner of our Horrible Horror March Movie Madness. But just for you listeners, if you haven't seen it, the winner, the champion, crowned worst of the worst, Alice in Murderland.
Alice in Murderland
Takes the crown for this year and gets an automatic bid placement in next year's tournament.
Yes.
To see if it can repeat.
Good God, that movie was awful. I really thought Seed's Revenge.
I thought so too.
I thought Seed's Revenge was going to be it, but
I was pained when I saw Alice won. But
I know, because you liked it.
I did.
You kind of liked it, which
did.
I thought it fucking sucked. But I
Don't get me wrong, it sucks, but I liked it in a way, and I'd much rather watch that again than Blood's Valley.
Right.
That movie is physically painful to watch.
Oh.
Anyway, so with that done, let's jump into Street Trash. Now, this is what is called a melt movie. Now, apparently this is a whole subgenre of horror movies out there. I don't know if maybe the stuff you could categorize in this or not, or maybe a blah movie. I don't know.
I think you can kind of put the stuff in there.
I think
for
so.
sure.
But anyway, it's a melt movie. It's a whole subgenre. I guess.
And what exactly is a melt movie, Marshall?
Apparently, I guess a melt movie is where people melt.
So it's the special effect technique of the dissolving bodies and
it's
things.
melting people. So this was released on May 7th in 1987. And first of all, okay, before I go any further here, I guess I need to say, I don't know if I should say thank you or fuck you to our listener Jordan, who submitted this movie and actually lent out his personal copy of this for us to watch. So
yeah, which is very cool.
Thank you for that, but
that was
fuck
very
you
cool.
At the same time for making us watch this movie. But anyway, here's to you. Keep listening.
All right. Thank you, and fuck you. But yes, keep listening. Yeah, thank you.
This movie is pretty much only found on DVD and Blu-ray. I couldn't find it anywhere to stream. Like I said, we had to watch it on disc.
Yeah.
It was written by Roy Frumkes, I don't know, directed by James M. Muro. It's got different versions. There's a heavily cut version, which is 90 minutes, and then the one we watched is the uncut, hour and 41-minute, unrated. I hesitate to use Fuckfest. Yeah, thank you. I was about to use Masterpiece, and that is not a masterpiece. As far as the cast goes, pretty much nobody you've ever heard of. Most of the people in the cast only did this movie and nothing else. Really, the only two people that are even worth mentioning are the guy, Vic Noto, I don't know how to pronounce it, who plays Bronson in the movie. Now, he's done work on The Americans, which is a pretty good series out right now. The Netflix Daredevil, I believe he's on that. Boardwalk Empire and Sopranos. So he's done some big stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the only other person I'm going to list this because I like the character is the guy who plays the doorman, James Lorenz, who has 20 credits to her name. And I guess for those of you in the horror and comedies and spoofs, He was Jeffrey in Frankenhooker. So that was his. So that's about it. That's the only things worth mentioning in the cast for this movie. So we're gonna do our best to take you through this ride, but it is a fuck fest of the movie, and trying to take notes on this was just nearly futile. It was just, I felt like the Borg were coming like, resistance is futile, don't take notes.
Yeah, the movie really doesn't have a storyline, not a consistent storyline. They have like, it's not even shorts really. It's like they just follow these characters essentially, and they're just doing their day-to-day bum bullshit.
Yeah,
but there's no beginning, middle, or end essentially. I mean, you can start this movie anywhere, and that's pretty
a really good point. You really could start this anywhere and be like, all right, I didn't miss
and
anything.
You really, I mean, you can show it completely out of order for the most part. I mean, there's one sort of theme with the wine, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But so the movie opens with Fred the Bum, who wears a purple velvet hat and kind of looks like homeless Jesus.
Yeah, he's kind of hipster homeless Jesus looking. Yeah, like he's younger.
Yeah, he steals a bottle of booze from this guy's liquor store, which leads to a chase scene. And so then during the chase scene, there's a car crash, and the driver gets out of the car, and he starts chasing after. So we have two people chasing after the bum. He steals some money from another bum during the chase scene.
It all takes place in like
Skid Row
2-3 minutes. It's like it's happening this fast.
It's really fast to keep up with. So he's stealing more money as he runs by.
He's basically running, and while he's running, he snatches a handful of money from one bum, and he's like, "Thank you," and just keeps on running, trucking along.
And he gets cornered by the two people chasing him, and he climbs up a fire escape to get away as other people are
the building's on fire!
Yeah. Frantically trying to get down it. And he jumps into a room, and there's two naked people in the bed.
There's a young couple going to town.
Yeah, but I didn't do a double take, because at first I thought it was two guys. I really did.
She had some small boobies.
And her hair is short, and it's like, I really thought it was two dudes.
She was kind of ugly.
Yeah.
That's one thing about this movie also. Everyone's fucking ugly. Like, everyone's ugly in this movie. There's no... And you would want to say it's kind of refreshing, but maybe it's not. Maybe there is a reason we have good-looking people on our TVs. Because I'm like,
no, that's a good point. I mean, they are bums, so I guess they wouldn't be attractive people.
But I mean, everyone.
Yeah, you're right. Everyone. Yeah. All the owners, everybody is. Anyway, the two naked Fred the Bum, gets the people out of the house, saying there's fire, get out. And they hop out of bed, run off, and you see everything in full naked glory. And this girl's got a huge bush.
This is some massive 80s bush.
Massive.
I mean, we're talking...
This is like Demi Moore Playboy spread or whatever, that naked picture. Yeah, it's like, I don't know if it was actually a Playboy spread, but there's some famous nude picture of Demi Moore out there that she's just got this gigantic bush.
I am not familiar with this at all, and I need to see this Demi Moore bush now.
Yeah, it's monumental.
This has to happen in my life.
So anyway, these people are running down the stairs to get out of the fire. And it's funny because the naked couple running down the stairs, you got cock and balls flopping in the wind.
Yeah, they have no shame.
And everybody in this apartment building is like in their pajamas and underwear. It's like the middle of the day. Which makes, why are these people in their pajamas and underwear in the middle of the afternoon?
It's the middle of the day, and either a lot of them are naked. Yeah. Everyone's just naked or in their underwear and just running out of this. I mean, it's a lot of people.
Yeah, and for some reason, there's one guy who I laugh at, who draws my attention because I don't know if he's half Asian or something like that, but he's running down the stairs, and this is a fire. The whole building is supposed to be fire. And of all the things to save from your beloved, all your objects and beloved things to save, He chooses to save a lamp and an answering machine. He runs down with a lamp and an answering machine in his hand, which I thought was the weirdest choice.
It's so funny because I thought he was Asian too, but he's kind of chubby and his tits are jiggling when he's running. He's carrying
It's not even a nice lamp.
It's just
either.
a fucking desk lamp, like a shitty desk lamp you'd buy somewhere, and an answering machine. Now, in the 80s, maybe he had a tapeless answering machine. Maybe. That's some high-tech shit right there.
Maybe.
So,
anyway, we're going to cut ahead to the first introduction of Bronson at the statewide auto parts and junkyard lot. He is kind of like the bum kingpin.
That's who I say. He's the king of the bums.
He is.
So he's like the the leader. He's he's got some underlings under
Yeah,
him.
he's got minions. And he sits on this garbage throne. Like,
Yeah.
he's got this makeshift, like something you see almost in a Mad Max type movie. It's made like car parts and it's just
And
built-
tires and
built into like this hillside. It's
Yeah.
like this elaborate garbage throne, and he has this naked, dirty woman sprawled out across his lap.
And we're talking dirty. I mean, they cover the actors in so much like dirt, black soot, kind of.
They half of them look purple
because they're just got so much crap on them. They're very pale too.
Yeah.
A lot of these people are very pale, but they're just covered in this, and it's.
Which think that their bombs are outside. They'd have better tans.
You think so? Yeah.
So the bum we saw at the chase scene who got the money stolen from him turns out to be one of Bronson's minions, like his money guy, his the collector, the bouncer, whatever you want to call him. And he shows up saying, I don't have any money, that this guy took it, and it's that Freddy guy. And Bronson like just leaps up, which causes the girl to fly off his lap and like roll down like 3-4 feet of this hillside.
And she's skin and bones.
She is. And he yells out, I'll rip the liver out of his ass. That is his first line of this movie in our introduction to Bronson.
Not a bad line.
No.
Kind of like it.
Yeah. I've never heard somebody say, I'll rip the liver out of someone's ass before.
I kind of like it.
So we go to Ed, and there's a lot of characters in this, so if this gets confusing,
Don't worry.
because
it doesn't fucking
really
matter.
Doesn't fucking matter. We go to Ed, who owns another liquor store, and he's in like the basement of his liquor store, and he finds this old crate behind like a breakaway wall.
Yeah, he's cleaning things up. He's moving stuff around. He's kind of muttering to himself, and he finds this old wooden crate.
Yeah, and inside the crate he opens it up, and it's just bottles and bottles of this wine, quote unquote, but really booze. They call it wine, but it looks more like cough syrup.
It's a lot like Night Train.
Yeah,
it looks like Night Train. It's got that the green glass bottle.
Green glass bottle.
It's about a half pint, and it's called Viper.
Yeah, Tenafly Viper. And so he finds this stuff, and he decides he's going to sell it for like $1 a bottle.
Yeah, he's like, this is like 60 years old. Yeah.
60. He says it's 60 years old, and which isn't really true because when you look at the bottle, it does say, which I actually happen to have a bottle here, and it actually says Tenafly Viper established 1924. So you see the 1924 and you think, okay, 60, but that just means the company was established in, not that
this booze is
sitting there,
made in 1924.
So who knows? We're outside the liquor store is like your cliche bum car washing scene where all the bums are at the intersection of washing people's windshields. And you got like one guy who's wearing like a shopping bag on his head as a hat, and he's got like a children's like toy car steering wheel as a belt buckle. And this guy, he actually leaps on top of somebody's hood to try to clean it. And that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, and I've never had the bum wash my windows before. I've had bums come up to my car and like knock on my car and be like, "Hey man," and I'm like, "Whoa." And you know what? If I'm at a red light, I'm just like, "Fuck off." I go right through it. I just don't care.
Yeah,
if I'm able to go through, I'll go through. I'll just be like, "Shit." I've done it twice. I'm just like, "Fuck it." I just go because I don't know what the fuck he's gonna do.
You're right.
I got someone knocking on my window. Fuck off. I'm out of here.
I don't think I've ever actually run a red light to get away from, but I've done something like roll it up, or occasionally I think I might have given, depending on the situation, I might have throw some change in there.
Well, there's somebody just hanging on the side of the road.
Yeah.
That's fine. But when they start knocking on my window, I'm out of there.
Yeah, that's exactly a different thing. But yeah, I've never had the come up and wash my windshield. So anyway, they're doing this, and we see this young couple in their probably late 20s-ish.
Mm-hmm.
They're pulling up to the red light, and Bronson...
Did you notice real quick, the red light just didn't have a yellow?
Yeah, it's like old style. It's just red
and green. There's
How many accidents were that at that intersection?
Yeah, no shit.
I mean, Jesus. So Bronson approaches this car, and the driver is like, "Hey man, sucks what happened to you guys in Nam because Bronson's a vet and he wears like camouflage pants and a lot of
he's got boots on, and
combat boots.
He's got a sidearm.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second.
But the guy in the car is a fucking like classic nerd.
He looks like an accountant, something you would see like in an accountant. Or
he kind of looks like
guy.
Former Senator Paul Simon for our who always wears a bow tie.
Yeah,
his shirt's buttoned all the way up.
Bow tie, glasses, like kind of
round rim glasses,
kind of
curly tight hair.
Yeah, he's really nerdy looking. And he's like, "Hey man, just I'm a G3 at the fort such and such on the weekends in the Army Reserves." And first of all, there's no such thing as a G3, unless you're talking about a general, which would be a lieutenant general, I believe, would be the third rank of general. And even then, it's not a G3 because you can be an O1, O2, O3, and that's your pay grade, or E, which is if you're enlisted. So a G3
the
doesn't
technicalities
really
of
exist.
military.
And if he was even a general, which he could, in the reserves, by the way, he's in his 20s. There's no way this guy would be a general. So whatever they're talking about does not exist in their military talk here.
Hey, we just dropped some knowledge there.
I have more knowledge coming later.
Jesus.
And anyway, Bronson gets pissed off at this guy. He drags him, just pulls him out through the driver's
Yanks
side
him
window,
right out of the car.
picks him up, and then smashes him face first through his own windshield, killing this guy. And the wife's in the car screaming, covered in blood. And it's like, what?
What's going on?
And we see Bronson has like this side. He's got like a furry like rabbit skin like fur holster on his belt that holds a giant femur bone, which turns out to be like a knife, like a carved bone, a femur bone he's carved into a knife,
Right.
that he carries around on his hip.
So this guy's wild.
Yeah.
Right, a big bushy beard. Yeah, he's a weird dude.
And there's also a bum who's wearing a gas mask in this scene too, which he comes back later. But it's like I've never seen bums who dress like this in gas mask and like. I don't think bums have. I would say some homes at least have some self-respect, not to wear shopping bags on their head and look like fucking idiots. Life's rough enough as it is for them. Anyway, so basically, Bronson kills this guy, calling him a weekend warrior. So he kills him for being in the Army Reserves, not because and not the regular full-time Army.
He hasn't seen the shit.
Yeah. So fuck you. You're in the Reserves. Like, what is happening? So we're going ahead to Fred and Paulie. Paulie's another fucking bum who walks with a crutch, and basically Paulie steals the bottle of Viper from Fred and leaves. The bum money collecting minion, he's watching from a distance, and Paul does mention that his son works with computers and he thinks he's throwing his life away. This coming from a bum. He's like, at least your kid has a job and doing something. In
Right.
the 80s, computers, that's like the dawn of the technology age.
Cutting edge.
Right there. And he's like, he's throwing his life away. I wish we wouldn't be doing that shit. And like,
Das, baby.
like,
Das.
you don't even have a job. You're living on the street. You're bitching at your son for having a good job. Like, there's so much weird shit in this. Anyway, so after Paulie leaves, the money collecting bum, like charges Fred, beats him up, kicks him around a bit, and leaves him. And so Paulie then is going through the remains of like this old collapsed brick building.
Yeah, this place is totally
Demolished.
demolished,
Yeah,
and it's just barely any like skeleton of the building remaining.
Yes, exactly. And he goes and sits on this toilet there. And it's an old-fashioned toilet that has like the pole handle, like the tank above. And he drinks the Viper. And he immediately begins to melt.
Once he takes his first drink, just
Yeah, and like doesn't have time for it to his body to digest it, and it just immediately.
By the time it hits his stomach, it's over.
Yeah.
Over.
So he's melting, not like blood and guts but like bright, like day glow,
Technicolor. Yeah, that's why
melting.
he's melting in Technicolor. I mean, there's bright purples and bright blues and bright yellows and every color just spewing out of him like
it's really very 80s, like the bright neon colors of the 80s. Yeah. These guys know. And eventually he melts. He's like melts down into the toilet, and he ends up looking like the creature from Basket Case, for
kinda, yeah,
scene like that.
Yeah.
Which is a movie we'll probably get around
we
to
should
doing.
probably do that one, yeah.
But he looks like Basket Case, and then you get this crazy, like fast, like steady cam zooming action shot of like the camera zipping through the ruins all the way up to the toilet again to see the last of the melted remains. And the best way I can describe it is it looks very similar to like the shot of the Evil Dead. There's a shot like in the Evil Dead where like the
camera work
zooms in up on like Bruce Campbell's face. It's very similar to that. So after he melts, we meet Wendy, the Asian secretary for the statewide junkyard, and Fred's younger brother Kevin, and they're in the tire fort, which is like the coolest tire fort ever.
It is pretty cool.
where they have Hulk and Spider-Man heads and busts on the behind them.
Gotta have some art.
Yeah, gotta have some art. So Wendy, I just gotta bring it up because it just blows my mind that they let this slide. But at the beginning of the scene, when she enters the tire fort, she is wearing a teal blouse and black miniskirt. And when she leaves and is walking back to the junkyard office, she's wearing a blue tank top and white skirt.
Yep, I noticed that too.
Huh? What?
I mean, I know there should be errors in continuity from time to time, like maybe the bracelet went from the left hand to the right, or something. But we're talking a completely different outfit.
Yeah, complete wardrobe change in a matter of like 2 seconds.
That's it. Yeah, just boom.
So anyway, Wendy basically kind of has this thing for this dirty homeless kid, Kevin, which is really fucking weird.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, what, 16
yeah,
at
he looks
best?
like 6. He barely looks. I mean, obviously, I'm guessing the actor was 18, but he looks super young. I get the character is probably like supposed to be like 16, 17, I would imagine. So she works for. I don't know, guys. I just call him Fatty, the boss of the junkyard.
Oh, he's big boy.
He and basically Fatty is just a walking sexual harassment lawsuit.
Yeah,
that's what he is. Now Black Bert, the bum in the gas mask, finds Fred unconscious on the sidewalk, wakes him up, and I notice at this point that Fred has incredibly white teeth for a bum.
Yeah,
he has gorgeous chompers for as dirty and disgusting as these people are supposed to be.
It's funny because I'm watching this movie, and you can tell some of the people that I'm looking at, and yeah, the number one thing that tipped me off so much was their fucking teeth.
Yeah.
You can see some of the people they used were probably more indigent.
Yeah.
You know, or on rougher times.
Yeah, some people really had bad teeth, and,
yeah,
and a few people they use teeth black on. You can definitely see the teeth
yeah.
black and try, but no, Fred and Kevin have immaculate teeth.
Yeah.
They may be homeless, but they have a great dentist on the
Well,
side somewhere.
They did run away from home. They're new.
Yeah, right,
they're new
yeah,
bums.
they're new homeless.
They're new
They're
homeless.
new homeless.
So I'll let that slide.
Okay. Now a bum in a tuxedo buys a bottle of Viper from Ed.
And this guy's got fucked up teeth.
Yeah, he's got jack teeth.
Yeah.
And he's all snaggletooth. And he on his way back to his like little pad, he passes the crime scene of the where Bronson killed the guy, and the cops and the ambulance are there, and we meet Bill the cop. Now, Bill the cop is this huge, just violent, crazy cop guy.
And he is ugly. Oh god! And this is your main. This is like your
Other
hero.
than Fred, he's
He's
supposed to be the
essentially kind of your hero, main character.
Yeah.
He's the I guess quote unquote good guy.
hero. Yeah.
But man, is he one ugly looking motherfucker? Looks like he had fetal alcohol syndrome. And
I don't know if he was that bad, but he's definitely is.
And he's
hard.
He's
rough. He's rough looking.
yeah, he's a big dude.
But he's
yeah.
big, and he's not the guy. He doesn't look like a guy you want to mess with.
No.
And
He
so,
always looks pissed.
yeah, he's always mad.
His face is always squinted.
Yeah,
angry.
he's a very mad character. So Bum and Tux, he makes it back to his like sweet, swanky little fire escape pad that he has on top of fire.
Yeah, because the cop kind of shakes him down, asking him, "Have you seen anything? Have you seen Bronson?"
Yeah.
He's looking for Bronson because he
like,
thinks
"No,
Bronson did. He's
I
like,
haven't seen anything.
yeah.
And he's whining and so he gets back to the fire. He drinks his Viper, and again immediately melts.
Yeah, and immediately like he's chilling. He's like, "Man, I
And
got
this
my
guy
nice
melts in pretty
pad."
much pure bright yellow.
Yeah.
He's just one color melt on this
Yeah,
guy.
and we really don't see too much melt
No,
effect
you see
on
his
him.
toe pop, but that's about it. The big thing is that he drips, his melty remains drip through the fire escape and land on a passerby.
Like a yuppie.
A yucky businessman passerby, and which starts burning his face. Now, this guy and the 3 other people he was with, they run like the 2 blocks.
He's running in pain. His face is burning. Yeah.
You realize it makes sense because he actually had to turn around and run backwards the way they came to get back to this crime scene instead of running forward, which is a little weird. But they run the 2 blocks back to this crime scene to get to the cop and ambulance. The guy's covering his face. He's screaming. Bill the cop tries to talk to him, but he basically either passes out from the pain or he just dies.
Yeah.
They don't really know.
And his face looks fucked.
Yeah, it's all
Just
burnt and gooey. And
Yeah.
now there's this one woman who's just she's a bitchy woman and just irrationally mad and like a man hater or something. I don't know.
They tried to portray it as she was a man hater.
But her character is just ridiculous. So she's like yelling at Bill the cop to get him help, even though he's always said, "Get me an ambulance over here," and he's doing his job. And Bill's like, all right, let me talk to the witnesses. Who saw it? He's like, oh, I saw it. He's like, trying to get information, piece this together. And the woman keeps interrupting and says, will you let me talk now? Why don't you stop following the rules and get this guy help? And then she accuses Bill the cop of being the type of policeman who would pull her over for a traffic violation in order to use that as an excuse to pull her over and rape her.
Yeah. Just
What?
out of nowhere.
Bitch be tripping. Holy shit. She's just crazy. So, moving on, we're back to Bronson and his dirty bitch. They're making out on the garbage throne. He tosses her off his lap again. She falls down again.
No, he's making out with her, man. He's like trying to put his finger through
He's
her
like reverse. Yeah, he's like reverse trying to finger bang her over the ass.
or into her butthole. I mean, when she's wearing giant underwear. Her
Giant
underwear,
oversized.
it basically looks
pants.
like diapers almost.
Yeah, they do look
They
like
look
diapers.
like diapers. It's like the huge underwear, but it's like he's digging his hand in there. I'm like, ugh.
And he tosses the dirty bitch off when he sees Wendy walking off in the distance.
Wendy the Asian.
Wendy the Asian, and he's talking to Kevin. Now, his dirty bitch is super flat-chested, like everybody in this movie, for some reason. And she got A cups at best, but she wears a bra that's made for, like, D's or double D's. It's
so big and flopping
baggy
on her. Yeah.
It's just weird looking. It's like, whoa.
It's kind of funny.
And she's yelling at Bronson for not fucking her and for wanting to fuck Wendy. And Bronson, he takes no shit from any woman because he punches her, he backhands her closed
Like,
fist.
lifts her off the ground,
like
hits
knocks
her.
her off her feet with a backhand closed fist. And then he tells her that he used to make bitches like her walk around the village bare pussy. Well, again, like, this guy is crazy.
He's got some pretty interesting lines.
Yeah. So, back to Fred and Bert, who meet up with Kevin and Wendy. And Wendy basically goes right back to work. And as she leaves, as Kevin pulls out this wad of cash from his pocket, which Bert immediately pretty much takes from him, and then goes off to buy food. Now, Fred and Kevin are in the tire fort, and Fred, for some reason, doesn't like Asians. There's a lot of racism in this movie.
There is. And it's not subtle.
It is not subtle.
It's just
I mean, Fred just comes out and calls Winnie a gook whore.
like bam.
Bam. And there's a lot of
sideway
gooks.
sideway pussy,
Yeah.
all the like shitty, horrible, racist comments you've heard throughout your life when you just go, oh god, this movie's full of them.
Yeah. And back at the corner grocery store, Bert is in there, and he's just stealing copious amounts of food.
It's
by
comical.
Shoving it down his baggy ass pants.
So he's got this pair of yellow pants that are like they're almost like
he wears fireman's pants. They're like fireman's pants because he wears fireman's boots or these big rubber galoshes.
so they're tucked into his boots,
Yeah.
or should be anyway.
They're tucked into his boots.
And he's just shoving tons of food. He's walking around. He's putting all kinds of
yeah,
shit in there.
like some things he puts. He's got snack cakes, Kool-Aid packets, cheese, two cantaloupes, and 3 packages of chicken.
He did pass on the half watermelon.
He did pass. That was the one thing too big to put down his pants. But he eventually gets caught, and the store manager comes up to him, who is also a black guy, by the way.
So this is because it's again they make it about race.
Yeah.
So some old white lady sees him, shoving chicken in his pants, and she says, "I'm gonna go tell the manager, young man."
Yeah.
And
But-
honky bitch. And
The manager's black, and Bert accuses the manager of discrimination, basically racial discrimination,
because he's listening to the white lady instead of him.
Over the brother.
because they're black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what? I understand if you say if the manager was white, that would make more sense, but it doesn't seem right.
It's black on black discrimination.
Yeah, it's just weird.
You heard of black on black crime. Now
Yeah.
it's black on black discrimination.
Apparently. So,
Well, he's crazy. He's a fucking bum shoving chicken in his pants. You can't listen to this asshole.
Yeah. But Bert makes a grand exit. He places a brown grocery bag over his head and walks straight through the front
Just
window.
smashes through the glass
shattering it in his
window.
wake, and just walks off as chicken falls out of his pant legs. What the fuck is going on in this movie? Like, at this point, I should have said this for me, but this really is not a horror movie.
No,
anyway,
it's
but
really not.
it's more of a
at all.
gross out film, but it's fucking insane.
Yeah.
It's bonkers. So we go to this corner or medical examiner, like in this exam room, which looks like a high school biology lab.
Right.
And again, we have another corner, or Mel eating in the room
He's
over
eating
the body.
sushi.
He's eating salad and sushi with his bare fingers over the remains of this melted body.
Yeah.
And it's the remains of Polly, and I had to wonder, why in the hell is the hand hanging from the ceiling instead of just on the table with the rest of the melted parts?
Well,
But
yeah,
they have it hanging
yeah.
from the ceiling.
Well, because in that scene when he was melting, he grabbed onto the pole plunger
flush-
hand,
yeah, I
hand
get
ripped
that,
off.
but
Yeah, but
they-
why would they have it hanging up?
Yeah, so it could still be attached and laying on the table. Why would they hang it up?
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And in comes Jimmy the cop, who wears a white Mickey Mouse tank top and jeans with his gun sticking out of his waistline.
Very professional.
Yeah, I'm like, why does this guy have a holster? He's a cop. But and then I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, first of all, Jimmy tells Billy that Bronson was a hitman in Nam and sold dope over there as well. Now, first of all, are both these guys named after the Double Dragon brothers, Jimmy and Billy?
Holy shit.
Jimmy and Billy. Isn't that the Double Dragon guys?
Jimmy and Billy Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These guys are named after the Double Dragon guys.
Nice.
And
Good find.
Second of all, there's no such thing as an army hitman. The closest thing you would get would maybe be a sniper or some kind of special force, but they're not called hitmen.
Well, maybe that's a slang for, I don't know.
And
Whatever.
they also say that Bronson was disarmed discharged under Section 8. Now that brings us to this week's educational moment with Horrible Horror.
Boy.
The term Section 8 refers to a category of discharge from the United States military that a member judged mentally unfit for service. So it comes from mean any service member given such a discharge or behaving as deserving such a discharge, as in the expression "he's a Section 8," which is what they call Bronson. The term comes from Section 8 of the World War II era United States Army Regulation 615-360, which provided for the discharge of those deemed unfit for military service. Nowadays, though, discharge under Section 8 is no longer practiced, as medical discharges for psychological and psychiatric reasons are now covered by a number of other regulations in the Army. Such discharges are handled under provisions of Army Regulation 635-200, Active Duty Enlisted Administration Separations, Chapter 5, Paragraph 13, which is a 513 or a Chapter 513 now. Basically, Section 8 also became a household phrase in the 1970s when the TV series MASH was used with Corporal Killinger, who was continuing trying to seek one by dressing up as a woman and doing all this stuff. In the 50s, Section 8 was were commonly given to service members found guilty of sexual perversion or being gay. That's where that came from. And but they would be discharged without their veterans benefit, but would not lose any citizenship rights. And now, folks in the Army, instead of using Chapter 8, it's a Chapter 513 or just a 513. One is for the normal mental issues like claustrophobia, bedwetting, or other things, while the other one is for
bedwetting.
Yeah, and the other one is for when you start hearing voices.
You can either piss yourself and get out of the Army or hear voices.
So there's your educational moment with for Section 8. Bronson he's telling war stories to all of his minions at night. And again, he mentions he was a gunner. He says Gunner Bronson. And this is, again, super vague. And because then there's a gunnery, which is a type of sergeant in the Marines. But if he truly means gunner, then that could mean several things, like he was a helicopter gunner, or he could have been in some form of artillery unit.
Okay, again, for our listeners, Marsh was in the Army, so he knows all this technical jargon, and he's just going to lay into you because he's very sensitive about it. He's like a hangnail. Anytime you touch it, he's like, "Oh, God, I got to tell you about Army real stuff." Ah! You love it.
Yeah.
You love it.
So anyway, he says he killed a man by stabbing him in the back of the head with his flash suppressor. And again, the flash suppressor is just part of the M16. It's not sharp. It's not a bayonet. It's like the slotted two piece at the end of the muzzle that it's not, I don't know how you would stab somebody with it. I mean, if he was the skull is laying down and you with great force, and maybe you could puncture head, but it wouldn't slide in like a bayonet. Anyway, so the tire fort is now seen, and it's lit up like a fucking lighthouse. There's radioactive material that's gleaming from this thing, but there's no power in it. It's lit up by 6 tiny itty bitty candles, but things like a beacon of light. It doesn't make any sense. And but inside, Bert, Fred, and Kevin, they're eating and they're chatting about Bill the cop. And eventually, Bert and Fred leave. And we go back to a sleeping Bronson who's having a PTSD dream.
He's having a flashback, essentially.
Flashback dream.
Yeah.
But a vampire Viet Cong.
Yes.
They're vampire guys in like black, like baggy clothes, like black cotton clothes, and like the
big rice field hats.
Rice field, like right inside, rice field hats. And they come up and they're vampires.
Yeah. That I'd watch.
That would be crazy.
That seems kind of cool.
And you see him killing two. He talks about killing two other gooks, and then he saves a Viet Cong girl who's tied up, and then fucks her as bombs are exploding behind him. It's just a crazy visual.
Well, it
thing.
was the Asian girl from the junk. Yeah, that was her.
Wendy? I thought, I was like, that kind of, but I wasn't sure.
Wendy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Wendy.
Okay, it was Wendy then. Okay. So he wakes up from his dream and grabs a fucking live grenade that he just happens to have.
He just happens to have a live grenade.
And he pulls the pin, tosses it out, and which it explodes.
Just randomly.
Just explodes like 3 feet from the tire fort. And all there's like a really lame, like, bang. It's the worst explosion for a grenade ever.
And they had great explosions in the scene.
They weren't great, but they were much better.
Well, they were explosions.
Yeah.
They were big explosions, and this was just.
Yeah, it was awful. So Fred then finds this uber drunk woman while he's out.
Yeah, so we cut away from the junkyard.
Yeah, we're
Fred's bopping along doing his thing, and he's kind of in the actual town, not around the junkyard, not around other bums.
No, he's in a nicer part.
He's in a nice part of town.
And he comes across this super drunk woman in an alleyway, and this woman thinks that he is this guy by the name of Nick Durant.
Yeah,
or Durant.
She's so drunk she can't recognize who's, and she looks nice. She's in a nice red dress. She's got heels and stockings and
she's like
makeup
the
and
girl at this.
well, yeah,
but it's supposed to be
sure.
And she wants to fuck this guy on the spot. She's like, "Fuck me now. I want you all the way inside of me." She says. Now we've both been drunk very, very drunk a lot. But I've never been so drunk in the past that I thought someone was somebody else.
Right.
Especially when said two people look absolutely nothing alike.
Nothing alike.
Because Nick is like this clean-cut Italian like mob gangster guy. Yeah. And Fred is just dirty, long-haired,
skinny,
hippie Jesus.
Yeah.
And so basically Fred takes the drunk woman back to the tire
Which
fort.
is really shady, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's rapey shit. It's
rapey.
Like he's supposed to be like kind of the one of the main characters. Someone that you might be like, okay, you might like. He's being somewhat portrayed as a sympathetic character. You know, he's the down on his luck guy, but he's got friends and he's gonna live his life, and he's gonna basically rape this drunk woman.
He takes advantage of this drunk woman all the way back to the dirty tire fort where he fucks her on a car seat,
and it's pretty graphic, I mean, she's completely stripped, completely naked, and he's
more glorious 80s Bush scene.
And there's a whole bunch of bums that come, like they
minions.
see him bring the woman into his tire fort.
Yeah.
And all these Bronson minion bums start getting real worked up.
Yeah, they're like watching through like the holes in the tire fort. They're like going,
and
they look like they're all jerking off watching.
They're just getting fucking charged.
Yeah. So Fred basically fucks her and leaves her, or he
and passes out. Like
he wasn't even drunk. I never saw him drunk.
That must have been some good pussy.
Because he stands up, tries to put his pants on, and just falls over and passes out.
I've fallen asleep after some sex, but not like
yeah,
just like rendered unconscious.
Yeah, exactly. And so the minions break through the tire fort.
They just tear the tire fort. They tear a hole in the tire fort.
Yeah.
And drag this screaming naked woman through the holes in the tire fort.
They drag her off into the junkyard.
And she's screaming like, no! And they're dragging her away.
Yeah,
and
basically
it's like,
they gangbang her.
Like ghouls.
Yeah, they gangbang her and basically kill her. But you don't see it. You don't see it.
Gangbang her to death.
Yeah. Now, we skip ahead to the next day where Fatty is basically raping Wendy in his office.
On a rolling chair.
And
he's big. I mean, we
huge.
haven't really talked about Fatty yet. He's got to be 350, and that's on the light side.
Actually even more than that.
He's a huge guy, and he's lots of energy, and he screams a lot.
He's bald. He's got like the goatee, and he looks like a bum too. He's always dirty. He's wearing, but he works in a junkyard, so I'll forget that.
He owns the junkyard.
Yeah,
but he's a big guy, and he's high energy, and he's just ugh.
Yeah. So, but when he finally gets him off by hitting him over the head with a stack of license plates, Fatty leaves her and goes to walk around his junkyard to blow off steam, where he finds the dead, naked body of the drunk woman.
Yeah,
And then he decides to fuck it.
Yes.
He fucks the dead, naked woman he finds lying in his
On his
junkyard.
property.
Ugh. Again, you don't.
He just kind of sees it like, oh no, and he goes,
Oh, yeah.
this is an opportunity to get my dick wet.
Yeah,
You know?
he even spits on his hand and like puts it between your legs to get like, and that's like, and then he cuts away.
Jesus.
Now meanwhile, Fred is getting his ass kicked by Bronson for owing him money, and during the fight, Bronson cuts the dick off of one of his random minions.
They're
Just
getting to a
cuts it
fight.
off, and-
He's throwing Fred down. He's choking Fred. They're right next to like a grated wall.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, piss starts hitting Bronson in the face.
Yep.
On the other side of the wall is a bum who's just taking a leak. And I guess the bum is unaware that he's pissing on Bronson's face.
Yeah.
Which draws the ire of Bronson to such a degree that he reaches through, grabs his cock with one hand, and with his bone knife, cuts his dick off in one swipe.
Yep.
And everyone thinks this is the funniest thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, because this leads to a Benny Hill type comedic scene.
There's music, it's like...
Yeah, like, what is that?
Yeah.
Yaki tack or whatever.
It's ridiculous.
And it basically leads to a game of dick keep away and then kind of dick football.
They're throwing the dick back and forth, and the guy who got his dick cut off's like, stop it, give it back, I need to get it sewn back on.
And one guy punched it like a football.
I mean, they're throwing
and
it all over the
tackling
place,
each other.
and it's just fucking crazy.
I mean, this is juvenile. Like, this is something I could see like a high school kid coming up with this. I think this would be funny, or a junior high kid coming up with this idea.
It was bonkers, and like all the bums are laughing. All these people are so horrible.
They are. They're
There's-
trash people. Literally, they're street trash. They're trash people.
My worst enemy gets his dick cut off. I'm not gonna run away with it, be like, ha ha, and then kick it to my buddy. I'm like, ooh, man, you got your dick cut off. That's probably the worst thing that can happen to anybody. You might want to go get that looked at now.
So after the dick keep away and dick football, we skip to Bill the cop, who's interviewing Nick Durand and the doorman, who we briefly saw earlier. Now, I love the doorman character.
You do.
I do like the doorman. I wish he had a bigger part. It's a small part, but I like him. Anyway, it's a kind of a funny scene with this Nick and the doorman going back and forth, and then Bill the cop trying to say, like, dude, what are you saying?
Make peace, yeah.
Like, I can't protect you once you leave here, because doorman's like, this guy's a killer. This guy's a fucking idiot. He just like, and Bill's like, what are you doing?
He's got cigarette butts in the soup, and he's got all kinds of crap. Yeah, not only is he a crook and a criminal and a killer, but he's also a shitty restaurant owner. I mean, I never eat that shit. It's horrible. And he's just talking. It's funny. It's pretty good delivery.
Funny. That's what I'm saying. The way he delivers it, it's really funny. But again, that's really shit police, because if this was a real interrogation, they would not be in the same room together.
No.
And they'd be in separate rooms.
Sitting
not
right next to each other.
Yeah. And Nick's like, I'm going to fucking kill you out of here. And the cop's like, he doesn't say anything about it. He's like, dude, I can't protect you once you leave here.
Yeah. And he's like, isn't there witness protection? Isn't there?
No.
And he's like, no.
He's like,
he's just like,
oh, shit. Fuck. So, anyway, the next scene, we see a hitman show up in like a plaid blazer.
This guy's outfit, he looks like the Jerk. He looks like Steve Martin from the Jerk. Like
right.
the way he's dressed, like those
does.
like that crazy plaid suit.
It's not plaid, it's a plaid sport coat.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's plaid sport coat with
tie.
pink pants.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And like a horizontal, I mean, his one clashing motherfucker.
Yeah.
Everything he's wearing is clashing as
It's
hell.
an eyesore. It hurts the eyes.
It does. It really does.
And the hitman tries to kill Fred, goes to kill Fred, but he gets interrupted by Bill the cop, who just happens to show up and says, wouldn't you rather die in combat than rot in jail?
Yeah, okay.
So again, a cop is saying, I'm going to kill you instead of arrest you.
This part is fucking crazy. All right, so the hitman goes to kill Fred because it's
Nick. Nick's he's the guy who had something to do with his girl disappearing.
He's upset that his girl's gone, and he figures out Fred had something to do with it. So the hitman goes to kill Fred.
Yeah.
Billy, the cop, interrupts it, but the hitman gets the drop on Billy. Billy doesn't have a gun. For some reason, he's a cop, and he doesn't have his fucking gun on him. So he's got him dead to rights, gun drawn, and he goes, "Wouldn't you rather die in combat wouldn't instead of shooting me, wouldn't you rather die in combat? And he goes, yeah, fuck it. Puts the gun away, and they start having fisticuffs.
No, he doesn't say instead shoot me, die in combat or rot in
Well,
jail. So
yeah.
he's like, I'm either way, I'm kicking you out. He's like, so yeah, it leads to a fight scene. It ends up with Bill the cop just beating the shit out of the hitman. And after the fight, Bill drags the unconscious guy to like a standing full-length urinal, drops him into it face first
Into the urinal.
And then makes himself throw up,
Sticks his fingers down his throat.
and vomits on the back of the unconscious hitman's
Pukes
head,
all over the hitman.
and walks away.
Ugh. And just
What?
leaves him.
And this is supposed to be a cop? He doesn't even arrest the guy for having a gun or trying to kill somebody. He's like, I'm gonna beat you up, leave you vomit on you.
He's
I'm
gonna
gonna leave,
beat
walk
your
away.
ass, puke up beefaroni all over you, and then leave.
So Fred and Kevin are getting into an argument over. At this point, I don't fucking care what it's about. But they argue, and Bill enters Bronson's compound and finds Bronson's dirty bitch sleeping under a tarp on the throne. Now Bronson comes up behind Bill, stabs him in the back with the femur bone blade, and the blade of it breaks off
in his back.
In his back.
And if you remember seeing the blade, it's a long blade.
Yeah.
It's not small. It's maybe about 7 to 8 inches long. It's a big blade.
It's a big blade.
So he puts it all the way to the hilt
Yeah.
in his back, and it breaks off. And it just makes Billy mad.
Yeah, and then the dirty bitch like kicking the blade
Yeah,
further
she
into
kicks
his back
it
and
into his
behind.
back, and he's still just kicking ass.
Because then Bill gets pissed. He picks up the dirty bitch overhead like military press style.
Like Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior style. Throws her up against this metal wall, and then Bronson and Bill get into a pretty good fight.
Yeah, it's not a bad fight.
Again, especially taking account that Bill has a knife in his back.
Entire blade.
Blade
It
in his
basically
back.
should be through his whole body.
Yeah, it really should. And Bronson ends up choking Bill to death.
And now Bill's dead.
Bill dies, and
So now our cop is
the
gone.
cop's gone, and Bronson's whistling taps over his body while he pisses on Bill's dead
Yeah.
body.
A lot of pissing and throwing up on people.
Bronson is he's fucking kind of, I don't know. In a way, I kind of like Bronson. He's just so fucking crazy and ridiculous that he's kind of enjoyable to watch his antics. But Fred is off buying another bottle of Viper from Ed. He goes off to drink it, but then he gets distracted by the sounds of Bronson's fat minion. Now, the fat minion also has a bottle of Viper, and he's drinking it, and he begins to choke and gag and swell, like inflate his
Fred's
body.
he's got it to his lips. He's just about to drink it, and then he hears basically farting and gas sounds and
he's
burping
weird-
and all
weird
these. He's like,
noises.
what the fuck? And
So
he
he
looks
peeks
around
around-
the corner and he
yeah.
sees the fat minion just swelling.
Yeah, his body's inflating, and so the body continues to swell and inflate to the point where his body, the fat man's body, explodes with such force that it sends Fred flying through the air and over a car.
Right.
Fred takes off running, but he gets ambushed by some other bum who just happens to show up and drop kicks Fred. And then Bert shows up wearing his gas mask, but he just ends up getting hit over the head with a pipe by this other guy. So there's no point to him even being there. This new bum takes Fred's bottle of Viper. Fred's like, no, don't drink it. But of course he drinks it anyway. And he starts melting as Fred just laughs and calls him a homo.
Well, it was the bum that was the money collector for.
No, that was a different bum. He's wearing totally different outfit.
Well, that's because he got arrested. We totally missed that part where he gets arrested. That guy gets arrested and he gets thrown back in the paddy wagon with all those whores, all those hookers.
Yeah, but he's wearing like a beat up old
Yeah,
military
and then
jacket.
because then he says, "No, don't make me take a shower. Don't make me take a shower." And then they show him like released, and basically he's out and he's got all these nice clothes on. He's just like, ugh.
Is that?
Yeah.
I thought it was just a completely different bum.
No, that was him.
Did not realize it.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, that's what I'm saying. This movie is.
Yeah.
I thought it was a whole other bum, and so
We skipped over that whole scene, but fuck it.
yeah, that's one, I didn't think it mattered.
Yeah.
So Fred's calling this guy a homo as he melts. It was a beautifully colorful
Yeah.
and epic melting death scene because he is, I mean, not just blues, but pinks and
Yeah,
purples.
and bright greens.
I mean, it looks
and
like
just,
a beautiful abstract painting or
Yeah.
something that's just got on this wall as he melts.
it's ridiculous.
And he melts and dies. Now Fred runs back to Ed's liquor store to warn Ed about the Viper. Oh
Because
shit!
he
it's the
sees that the
Viper.
Viper is killing these people.
Yeah. So, but Ed, he doesn't get there in time because Ed comes out of the store drinking the Viper.
He's just because I guess I don't understand why he would do this because Ed owns a liquor store and it's got all the liquors you can imagine.
Yeah.
And he's selling this shit for $1 and he knows it's fucking
Awful.
But I guess he was interested because a lot of bums are buying it, and so
Yeah.
he figures, well, I guess I'll taste it and see what it's like. That's my thought
I don't
process.
think. Yeah, I wouldn't like just because bums are buying. Like one, they're bums and it's $1.
$1.
If you
And-
buy a bottle of booze for $1,
and you just found it
in a dirty box in your basement,
I wouldn't drink that. Jesus.
No.
You got top shelf shit, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Let's give you a liquor store real quick. It's more like a bodega. It's like
Yeah.
it's like a one aisle. You walk in, there's one aisle and a counter, and that's it.
Just liquor all over the walls,
Yeah,
all over the place.
You can barely even walk in the place. It's so small. So anyway, Ed comes out and immediately starts melting in front of Fred, who and Ed just basically melts and dies on the sidewalk in front of Fred.
Not the best melt scene.
No,
not bad, but
no,
just
it's
not
not
the
bad.
best.
Meanwhile, Bronson is seen carving and sharpening a new knife bone. And we see like enough flashbacks, seeing like dead bodies all around him, and like Viet Cong, he's having flashbacks.
Yeah, he's having flashbacks of being in Nam, and
Yeah.
it looks like all of his buddies are dead.
Yeah,
And
at
he's
first
the-
I thought I've watched him like 4 times. I'm not proud of it, but I
Jesus.
hate it. But the first time I saw it, I thought he like I missed something because I was trying to take notes. I thought it was like going back and forth between dead Viet Cong and like dead bums. Like I thought he was like he killed all of his minions in a flashback, but then I was like, I don't think that's what happened.
No.
But he is making a new bone blade, and 2 more of his minions show up, and they offer him a bottle of Viper. So where are people getting all this Viper from? It's just coming out of everybody's ass all
It's
of a
just
sudden.
one store.
And Wendy and Kevin, they're chatting it up, and Kevin just reaches between her legs, just balls out, I'm gonna go straight for the vag.
Yeah, so Wendy's talking with Kevin, and they're kind of having a little heart-to-heart moment. And, she's wearing a short skirt, and the angle she's sitting at where you can just see right to vag.
Yeah.
And Kevin, being a 16-year-old, decides, I'm going to fucking go for it.
Yeah, just right in there.
But it works.
It works, because and Bronson is about to drink the Viper now himself when his dirty bitch shows up and grabs it from it, yelling, you never share, blah, you're an
You
asshole,
never share
blah,
your
blah, blah.
dick, yeah.
I'm taking it now, and so she drinks herself, and just like the rest, she melts and dies on the hood of a car, I think.
Yeah, and her chest is exploding. She's
Yeah.
tearing her skin off. It's
Yeah.
a weird scene, of course.
Yeah. Bronson now sees Wendy leading Kevin into the junkyard office.
And now he just saw his woman melt. He sees the woman or the Asian gal going with the young man, and he just loses his shit.
But yeah, so in the office, Wendy is basically getting ready to fuck the dirty homeless kid Kevin, which who would do that? Like, he's filthy, and like she flashes her tits out, and she's about to like go down on him, which again, this guy hasn't showered in forever. This whole thing is gross. And when Bronson just breaks through the door,
Smashes through the
like,
door.
Hulk, as he goes,
Yeah.
like, "Bruh." And
Bronson smash.
Yeah. And he starts chasing Kevin around the junkyard and through the warehouse. And
It's
all
a
that.
it's just a chase scene through
Yeah.
a warehouse, and
It's really drawn out, and it's ugh. Anyways, and then some random guy or another bum just pops up out of nowhere. Like, never seen this guy before. He's just there, and Bronson just stabs him in the neck with his new bone knife, kills the guy.
Yeah.
That's it for him. Who
Yeah.
cares? Now Fred shows up and throws a bottle of Viper at Bronson, and upon hitting Bronson in the face,
The bottle breaks
bottle
on
breaks,
impact on his
it
face,
starts burning Bronson's face
like acid.
and Bronson's just like, "What the fuck did you just throw at me, man?" And he like doesn't even like give a shit. And so Bronson gets his hand on Fred. He's about whooping his ass when Wendy jumps on Bronson's back, but he just tosses her off
her
with
aside.
ease, like nothing. Now Kevin, who is behind him, he gets this large tank of something, some
gas like
tank.
like a
helium tank or something,
Right, like a
pressurized tank.
pressurized tank that holds gas, some sort of
some kind of gas, yeah.
aerosol gas.
And
so.
he lines it up on some old tires pointing at him. Now, Bronson's telling Fred it's time to meet your ancestors, which I think is a good, very Viking-like, very Viking-esque line, I think.
yeah.
And he picks Fred up over his head, holds him above his head with one fucking arm or hand, while Fred is like punching him in the face from above. But Bronson just stands like the goddamn Statue of Liberty,
holding a punching bum.
with a bum above his head. Now, Kevin breaks the valve off the tank, which causes the tank to launch like a goddamn missile at Bronson. And it takes off Bronson's head and a good chunk of his torso
We're
as well.
talking like, man, like, burn. It's more than take off his head. It takes off his, like, upper chest.
Well,
It's like a V-neck.
Yeah.
Imagine a deep V. That area where
a literal deep V.
yeah, that's where the skin's exposed. That's gone. Just ripped off.
Yeah.
Blood squirting out.
I do like the slow motion head falling behind the body. That looked good. Wendy then like steps over Bronson's head, which looks up her skirt as she passes over. And how the hell this head's still alive?
It's
is
moving
beyond
its
me.
eyes.
Its teeth are moving, mouth are moving. It's like you can tell it's the animatronics are prevalent.
It's 80s.
I know, but so she goes over to Kevin, kneels down next to him. They kiss. Roll credits. But during the credits, you get one more scene of the doorman and Nick. Doorman's tied up in Nick's office, and Nick's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you now, you moron, for doing everything. And Doorman's like, oh, come on, you didn't really need to kill me. He's trying to be, and he's just doing. It might be one of my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah.
And
he's trying to. She's like, no, I was just joking around.
Yeah,
we're just having some
we're all
fun.
good. Like,
and he's so New York.
She was drunk, or she's in a beautiful way, or she was mean in a beautiful way, or like trying to compliment the wife or the girl.
And it's so New York. He's just calm, but the way he's talking real fast. He's like, come on, man, you know I wouldn't do that. You know?
Yeah.
It's just funny.
Nick finds a bottle of Viper on the doorman, which again, where does he get this? Who knows? But Nick decides to drink the Viper, and he starts melting away as Nick and as the doorman and Nick's two goons watch over. And Nick's saying something like, "Dude, you don't look so well." Like Nick's like, "Kiss my dick" or something like that. He's like, "Kiss your dick? It's dripping down the stairs." Like, take that ring before it gets all gooey. I'm the new Don now. I'm the boss now. And then the credits go. Now that's fucking street trash.
That's it.
Before we go into favorite kill, I just want to talk about one. The Viper, that whole movie is really based around, really doesn't fucking matter in this movie at all. Like, it could not even be in this movie and would really play no part in the outcome.
It's just for effects.
Yeah, it's just a gross out effect. And
I guess the main story is kind of the Bronson.
Yeah.
Like, Bronson's like the main thing. Yeah.
And I'd much rather see a movie about the crazy homicidal bum Bronson, like slashing his way through the streets of New York. Like, turn that into like a slasher horror movie. I'd be on board. Like, I'd totally watch with more Bronson and just craziness and him killing. But it falls short. Like, this isn't really a horror movie. It's just the Viper drink doesn't need to even be here. There's no point to it. There's really no point to this movie at all. But it just I wish it would have just been, they could have done it totally differently.
Yeah.
But that said, we'll move on to favorite kills.
There can be only one. Favorite kill?
Most of the kills are all melts here.
Yeah, those are the ones the most significant. I mean, there's other deaths, but we're talking, it's about the melts.
Yeah, it's about melt. So, do you have a favorite melt or favorite death scene, or what's yours?
So, I kind of liked the bum that got set up by Fred, the one who was clean cut, and he's laughing, he drinks the Viper, and he's the one who's
beautiful abstract painting.
Yes, that one. That's my favorite melt. That's my favorite.
That's probably
kill.
the best melt of the movie, I will say. But the melts, like, I don't know. The melts are, I guess, the reason to watch it. But for some reason, I enjoyed almost like the first kill of the movie where the guy just gets smashed through the windshield, because it's so like, what? This guy kills the guy for just basically beating the Army Reserves just on a broad middle of the intersection street, broad daylight, tons of people around, just pulls this guy out and kills him with no
rhyme or reason.
Second thought. And I'm just like, what the fuck? So the best melt is the one you talked about. But I think my favorite kill is just the opening one where it's just so crazy and out of left field that it's like, what's happening? So
my second one was Bronson. I like Bronson.
Bronson. It is a good death. The missile tank in the head. It's a good. Yeah, Bronson's a good death too. All right. So moving on to odds and ends.
Not only did they watch these films, they researched them too. Ugh, what is wrong with these guys?
All right, starting off with ratings. IMDb gives it a 6.2 out of 10, which is higher than I thought it would get. Now, this one, I about lost my shit on this. Rotten Tomatoes, 67% on the tomato meter.
Wow.
That's like a normal tomato on their name. That's not a rotten tomato. That's not a green tomato. That's a regular tomato with a 62% audience score. So this is definitely a cult movie.
Oh,
it's got a
big
following.
time.
And Amazon, fucking
3.5?
4.3.
Whoa!
4.3. This movie is having some of the is ranking up on one of the higher ranked
one of our higher ranked movies.
And
yeah,
it's fucking awful. It's garbage. Literally, the trash is in the title of this movie. Anyway, plot keywords. Now I wrote these down before I even watched the movie the first time because I knew we were going to do this for the listener submitted things. So I'm like, I'm going to do my thing. And reading these plot keywords, I was like, holy shit, what am I in for? Because these are just some of the ones I wrote down.
Okay.
Rape, severed penis, fat man, nipples, vampire, genital dismemberment, gang rape, castration, and necrophilia. You see those as keywords, and you're like, what the fuck am I about to watch?
Yeah.
So, trivia, there's actually a decent amount of trivia I came up with for this.
Well, again, it's one of those cult classics. And a lot of times those cult classic movies, they have deep trivia on them.
Yeah.
Because people really get into them.
So apparently Nick Noto, the guy who plays Bronson, was cast a day before principal photography commenced. And he said, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, he said, nor did I ever understand who Bronson was. I did scene by scene, not even knowing what the movie was about. I didn't read the script until 3 months after I was wrapped. I still don't know who Bronson was.
Jesus Christ.
Miriam Zucker, who plays the drunken woman who was brutally attacked, she was actually brutally attacked by thugs in a New York City subway station several years before the film, and the attack left her partially deaf with a large scar on her scalp. And this scene where her character is attacked by a gang brought up like flashbacks of this and gave her like a feeling of dread. And
why would you agree to redo a scene like that? Jesus.
The word fuck is spoken 128 times in this movie.
I believe it.
I believe it wholeheartedly. Mike Lackley, who played Fred, the star of the film, was doing the makeup, also created the penis, and he made 3 different sizes: the little one called the pecker, the medium-sized one called the poker, and the big one called the packer.
That's pretty funny.
Which makes me wonder which one they used. It certainly wasn't a small one, but it could have been the medium or the big one, I guess.
Well, when Bronson first cuts it off, it looks like he's holding a fucking Subway sandwich.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's huge.
It's pretty big.
Future director Bryan Singer, The Usual Suspects and X-Men, was a production assistant on this movie.
Huh.
The producers were unsuccessful in getting product sponsorship for the film. The only
Not a
company that
surprise.
was interested was manufacturer of Drake's Cakes, which would send the cast and crew a box of snacks every week. By the end of the 3-month shoot, everyone had eaten enough of the snacks that when it came time to make the scene where the fat bum explodes, the stomach was filled with boxes and boxes of Drake's Cakes. Bill Chipple, who plays Bill the cop, was a real NYPD police officer before doing this movie. That's scary.
Yeah. Someone didn't follow protocol very well.
This was based on an original short film by James Moreau.
Yeah.
Which the drink was then called Thunderbird instead of Viper.
It's funny because there is Thunderbird liquor.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's like Night Train's cousin. Yeah.
The writer Roy Frumkes played the businessman who face melts in the movie. That's the writer. The wrecking yard belonged to the director's father. And during the film's premiere, the cast and crew arrived hanging off the back of garbage trucks instead of renting limousines, which that's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah.
The director of photography, David Sperling, was chosen via a coin toss because he didn't. So real effort into making these people flip coin. The first meltdown scene required 4 different sets and locations, including an oversized toilet.
Mm-hmm.
The director and crew decided to go with the bright Dago colors instead of traditional blood look because they thought it would be quite amusing.
It was.
I guess it was, and Street Trash was apparently meant to be Moreau's thesis film for film school, but it was not accepted, and he was not surprised by that. Sadly, though, I do not have a budget for this, so we cannot do the budget game today, which really sucks. But I do have some really good 5-star reviews.
Is this your guilty pleasure? 5-star reviews.
So moving on to that, from Cookie Man 108, I did learn a number of things from this movie. 1, you can actually make a home out of discarded tires. If you wear baggy enough pants to a grocery store, you can steal enough food to feed at least 3 people. I wouldn't eat anything that came out of a homeless man's pants. You can thin out homemade hooch by urinating in it. An alley is a great place to pick up broads, especially if you're a greasy bum and the broad is wasted off of her gourd. Your puke breath must be really bad when a bum won't even kiss you. Frank, the morbidly obese owner and operator of the scrapyard, isn't advised to a little necrophilia. The homeless don't particularly covet showers.
No.
A severed ding-a-ling can be used in lieu of football in a pickup game. And you can never defile Bronson in front of other men. So that's from Cookie Man 108. 5 stars.
It's pretty accurate. Yeah.
From Connoisseur Rat. Stay away from this film if you're weak of stomach, but definitely feel free to use this delightful piece of cinematic grotesquerie as a dieting aid, and this movie will do such a good job of making you lose your appetite that you'll be looking for it for days. Ultimately, I think is the best indication of this raunchy, sleazy ride you're in for with this flick, expressed by one of the last acknowledgments in the end credits, which reads, "Thanks, Anita, for taking me to see I Drink Your Blood when I was 6. Yep, that about sums it up. 5 stars. Oh, thanks, Anita. 5 stars. From DDT. I've never seen anything like this movie ever. Dare I say, I rank this up there with every movie I have ever loved. The other night, I tried to make myself watch some piece of excrement movie my wife got on Netflix. After about 20 minutes of that boring crap, I said, fuck this, and put on Street Trash. 5 stars.
Weird.
Yeah. I think I'd rather watch anything else on Netflix than this movie again. Marvin Horn. One of the best movies ever made in this era of horror. 5 stars. This guy is an idiot. It's not even a horror movie. Anyway. Last few ones here. TDSL. If I had a time machine, I'd go back to the sleazy grindhouse era of New York City. Unfortunately, I don't have a time machine, but I do have a copy of Street Trash. 5 stars. Street Trash will have you regurgitating your lunch up and making you feel at home to swallow it all back down again. This is a class act movie. 5 stars.
True class act.
True class act. I'm gonna skip that one. Teresa G. Archer. Man, this movie's off the hook. One of the trippiest movies I ever seen. Get intoxicated and watch this shit. Great horror/comedy. I recommend this to anyone who likes, spelled with a Z, cheesy old school flicks. It's spelled with a Z. Awesome. A must have for any horror comedy fan. 5 stars. And the last one from C. Ashworth. I don't care what anyone else says. This movie pushed the limit with the horror comedy subgenre, and the very fact that it was even released in theaters amazes me. It was only released because it was made during the 80s, appeared that mostly ignored political correctness in the media. The way race, women, and the poor are shown is completely different from what a movie would be like in 2006. I hate that now writers and actors will stunt their creativity to fill some kind of greater political agenda, which we face under the current administration. Movies like this make me want to cry for the way things used to be. I kid you not, and don't drink the Viper. 5 fucking stars.
That sounds like a Donald Trump fan right there. Make America great again.
Bring back trashy movies like this. Bring back racist, trashy movies. All right. That's time to wrap it up. So bad. Final recommendations. Aaron, what's your final thought on this movie?
Well, it's got... I understand why it's a cult classic. It has a particular appeal to it being so bombastic and bizarre with special effects and all this crap, and the non-PC. I mean, that was a pretty good note actually, but the good way of putting it. You're not going to see movies like this today. You're just not really. I mean, not with a budget or anything. So, but at the end of the day, it's a movie, and I like to watch a movie for something I kind of have fun with. So I'm going to say so bad it's scary. But if you're into that kind of stuff, maybe it's for you. Me, I want to take a fucking shower afterwards. I wanted to just cover my body in bleach because I'm not into that stuff.
Yeah. I think I'm going to say the same thing. I agree with you on this. I can agree and see why. I guess this would have a cult following, but it's just so really boring and so drawn out that it if it's a melt movie, let's have more melts. Let's
And
have
yet-
more. Let's have that more happen more often.
You make a good point. The movie was actually just not. It didn't flow. Didn't have a story. I mean, you can still have all the melt and bullshit and
It's
non-PC crap
Yeah.
you want, but it's like at the end of the day, there's no fucking story.
No, it's two movies in one. It's the Melt movie and then it's the Bronson movie.
Right.
And to me, I view this as like we said this before in a 976 Evil movie. I view like the whole Tenafly Viper is like the Indiana Jones of this movie. Like just like Indiana Jones in the Raiders of the Lost Ark really makes no difference in the outcome of the movie. So does the Viper in this movie. I'd much rather seen a whole Bronson killing in the streets of New York movie than watch this. So I also say So Bad It's Scary. So that's that. Next week we do another movie. I'll announce it now. It's another fan submitted movie. It is called Black Sheep.
Black Sheep.
Black Sheep, submitted by Milo. So thank you for that. It's a New Zealand film.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can find it streaming. I will, if you can, I'll post it all. But it's out there. I think you might find it on like YouTube, maybe. I think. But anyway, for now we're gonna wrap it up. So follow us, check us out on our Facebook page. You can follow us, check out our website at horriblehorrorpodcast.com. We're on Twitter at So Bad Scary. We're also on Instagram at horrible_horror_podcast. And you can download and listen to the episodes at horriblehorror.podbean.com. And also for free, download, subscribe, like on iTunes as well. So check us out. Everything's free. Send us any more submittals, suggestions,
Yeah, let us know.
comments. We can email us, text us, Twitter us, Facebook us. Let us know. I try to respond to everybody I possibly can.
So that puts number 50 in the books.
That is episode 50.
All right, we did it. 50 episodes. Pretty weird.
50. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much for listening for 50 episodes, Moon Goons. We appreciate you. We love you. We'll see you back in a week's time. Take care.
Bye-bye.